Hey guys, Disney Freak 39 here, and yesterday Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 officially hit theaters. I got to see the movie on May the 4th, and I figured I would do a review, but with a twist. Today we're going to be making Star-Lord's Terran-style barbecue pork sandwiches while I review the movie, so let's go and head into making these sandwiches. So, when I went to go and see Guardians of the Galaxy yesterday, I was super excited. I mean, I don't think I've been this excited for a Marvel movie probably since No Way Home. Oh wait, what's this? Scan this code. I'll just scan that later. Oh, no way. That's so cool. I got this cool magnet, I think. Oh, guys, if you want to scan this code, you can listen to the mixtape. Is it a magnet? I think it is. Yes. Whoop, I dropped it. Oh, that's really cool. I think they're going to be giving a free gift to every single person that gets one of these. So every time that you order a Guardians meal, you're going to get like something like a magnet or a pin. I don't know everything. I'm going to be getting the rest of the meals over the next few weeks. Okay, but like I was saying, I was super excited for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, and I went in with super high expectations, and I'm just going to tell you guys, I was very disappointed with the movie. Now, I'm going to go and tell you guys what I did and didn't like about the movie, but overall, I was disappointed. Before I get into this review, I am going to say I am going to be talking about this in spoiler detail, so if you're someone that doesn't want to know what happens in the movie and you haven't seen it yet, maybe just save this video for later and come back once you watch it. Okay, so the movie starts off where you get a very depressing opening compared to Guardians 1 and 2, where you first see young Rocket in the cage with all the other raccoons, and then you see the High Evolutionary coming for him, and I was in a Dolby Surround Sound theater, and I'm telling you, that was probably the most I've ever felt the bass in like a movie. Like, it was intense. Then it cuts to an amazing shot where young Rocket turns into the Rocket that we know today. And I thought it was a really cool shot. And it's very depressing. Like, you're going to see Rocket all sad and depressed. You go over and see Star-Lord, and he's like drunk because he's still sad over Gamora being gone. And also, I kind of like this. Speaking about while we make this HelloFresh meal, Rocket drank some of that milky mango fizz that we made in that video last week, so that was kind of cool to see. But then it starts off where you see Adam Warlock coming over to nowhere to attack the Guardians, and I thought this started off really, really good. I thought this was a great action scene to start off with. I was a huge fan of it. It looked like Adam Warlock was super powerful even though he was taken out of his cocoon early. It did seem like he was getting a good hit on most of the Guardians. Then the plot really starts the movie where Adam shoots Rocket and injures him, and Rocket basically starts to die. They got the med packs and everything. They're trying to save him. But then they realize that there is something in Rocket's heart that will automatically kill him if they try to operate on him, because this is something that the High Evolutionary did. So if anyone ever tried to save Rocket that wasn't him, that he would be killed, which is pretty smart on his part. Okay, we made all these potatoes. Now we're gonna go and roast them. Oh my god, and the oven just went off too. That's funny. So they find out that the passkey is in this, I don't know what it was called. It started with an O, but this company's place, and they need to break in and get the passcode. So they go over to like this living matter place in their spacesuits. And now when they go over to this place, they run into the Ravagers that we saw at the end of Volume 2, with Sylvester Stallone being the leading one. And then you also get to see Gamora, who is working with the Ravagers. Of course, this Gamora is the Gamora from 2014, and the old Gamora was the one who got yeeted off the cliff on Vormir. So Peter is pissed at Nebula for talking to Gamora without him knowing, which I can understand, but then at the same time, I don't think Peter was in the space to talk to Gamora. I don't think it would have been good if he was in contact with her. He was like really, really bad. Like, even in the holiday special, you could see that he wasn't doing so well. But then we get to see all these Ravagers, which I gotta say, that red one that had the Doctor Strange powers was so cool looking, with like the emojis that he was using to communicate. That was like the coolest character out of all the Ravagers. So the Ravagers help them by giving them the suits and letting them know how they can get in without being known. And then you see probably one of the first comedic scenes of the movie, where they all land onto that area in their suits, and Peter's trying to talk to Gamora about, you know, how he really wants her to get to know him because the other version of Gamora. They were in love. And then you find out that he was not just talking to Gamora, but the line was an open line where everyone could hear him talk. That was a pretty cool comedic scene. I didn't laugh because I already saw it in one of the clips, but it definitely was a funny scene. And then they break into this place. Now, this scene, I wasn't a fan of this entire scene. This is the one where they're breaking in, they put their suits down the hatch, and it exits out into space. You see Nathan Fillion, which kind of took me out of the movie. Actually, this entire scene, it was just cameos. I saw James Gunn's wife, who played Hawkcourt in the Peacemaker show. And then I forgot her name. I think it was Aura. The pink skin lady who was helping them get Rocket's information. She was also someone that James Gunn knows. That took me out of the movie a little bit. But yeah, I feel like this entire sequence, just cameos everywhere. We're gonna put these in for 18 to 20 minutes. Okay, next we're gonna be prepping and make the sauce. I don't really want to talk about this sequence anymore. Long story short, there's a big action scene inside of this HQ, and they get Rocket's password, but they find out that the password is actually stored on one of the henchmen of the High Evolutionaries that Peter bumped into while in the HQ. So they now have to go over to Counter Earth to go and get that password. Something that I liked was when they were going over to Counter Earth, there was a nice conversation that Peter had about going back to Earth to see his grandfather. And it was a nice setup because, of course, by the end of the movie, he does get to go back to Earth. And while I was watching, I was like, oh, they're setting this up. So when it happened at the end of the movie, I thought it was a nice callback. Also, something kind of cool was they were going back and forth with the present and the past with Rocket. So even though we were focusing on trying to save Rocket, they would jump cut to the past when Rocket was a subject with the High Evolutionary. And I thought it was a pretty cool narrative way to tell Rocket's story. We would learn a little bit more every, couple of minutes. And that was definitely cool. But one of my main problems with the movie was Rocket was kind of sidelined in his own movie. Now, of course, he was the big part of the movie, but the present version of Rocket was kind of absent for the majority of the movie. And Rocket is one of the best characters in the entire Guardians franchise, and it kind of felt like a loss to not have him there. Now, eventually he, comes back, but it was later on in the movie. So they get to Counter Earth, and it's probably one of the best comedic scenes in the movie. You see them in the home talking to, what were they, rabbits? I don't know what animal they were, but they were trying to communicate, asking them where this person could be that they need to get the password from. And then they show that it's over going to be in that giant triangle thing in the middle of the entire city. Then we get the first F-bomb in Marvel history. And Mr. Peter Quill gets to say it. He says, "Open the fucking door!" I gotta be honest, when I saw the clip of it being bleeped out, I think I found the bleeped out version funnier than him actually saying it. So Peter can't drive, so that was a great scene. And then you see Gamora just watching him like, oh my god, look at this idiot. And then you get a really good scene of Gamora exploring the ship, and she sees Peter and his family back when he was a kid. And she goes over to Rocket and is like, man, your friends must really think you're important if they really want to do all this stuff just to save you. And then you see Adam Warlock come back out of nowhere, and he starts attacking. Actually, I think I'm out of order. I think he actually came a little bit later on in the scene. But, yeah, let's just jump cut to them getting over to the High Evolutionaries building. Peter and Groot go inside. Nebula can't go in because she has weapons all over her. But Groot actually hid the weapons inside of his roots, which we already knew because in the trailer you saw the guns coming out of him. So I wasn't too surprised when that got revealed. But one of my favorite things is that when they're waiting to talk to the High Evolutionary, he of course is like, wait. The High Evolutionary has like his finger up. And then once Peter interrupts and says something to one of the other ones, and the High Evolutionary starts saying something to them, he's like, oh, now you have time for me? That was probably my favorite lines of the entire movie. And it was so sincere, too. Okay, so then there's a little fight sequence where Peter and Groot fight the guards in there, and they jump out the window. Now, they jump out of the window, and they survive because Groot uses his roots to, have a glider. And I'm not even gonna lie, guys, I don't even want to say this, but when I saw it in the movie, I literally thought about the Fortnite Groot glider. and I'm kind of ashamed that I thought of that, but I did. I also think I'm a little bit out of order. I think I forgot to say that High Evolutionary blew up the entire counter Earth because he didn't find it habitable because it wasn't perfect. So yeah, he blew up the planet, they jumped out, and then Gamora has a fight sequence with Adam Warlock. Adam Warlock zooms through the Bowie, and then he tries to save his mom because everything's blowing up, and Aisha dies. Now, Aisha wasn't really in the movie too much. She was a bigger part of Guardians 2. Probably the only death that I could think of in the entire movie. So Gamora uses the Bowie and gets over to where they landed and picks them up. They get the hard drive because they took it off of the guy when they threw him down into the water in the pond, and they took it off of him. And I think we got one of the saddest moments of the entire movie. We got the part where you see Rocket reuniting with his friends at the gates of heaven. Now, this was probably the most emotional scene after the one... Oh, I forgot to tell you guys. Yeah. No. This was the second most emotional scene. The most emotional scene was when Rocket escaped and he used the key, and then all his friends got shot. I didn't cry at any points during the movie, but I definitely felt like crying at that point. But yeah, so he gets reunited at the gates of heaven with Lila, Teefs, and Floor, and I thought this was so sad. And then she was like, your time is in now, and that's when that's when Star-Lord is giving him the compressions and trying to save his life, and I thought that was a great scene. So Rocket's alive now, he's alive and well, and now they have to go and save Mantis, Nebula, and Drax, which is still on the High Evolutionary ship, so they have to go back and save them. So the ship is getting into the upper atmosphere. Everyone isn't able to breathe because they're entering space, and Drax knocks down the door, and they see that the High Evolutionary is making another group. It's all these kids who are locked up in these chambers, and you find out that Drax actually speaks this language. Of course, Drax was a father who lost his wife and his daughter to Ronan when Ronan assassinated them. So it was kind of cool to kind of see that side of Drax of him being a father. I really, really like that. Our potatoes are about to be ready in 55 seconds. Let's go take them out of the oven. Here they are. They look pretty good. I think I might let them sit in here for a little bit. I'm going to leave them in to get them a little bit more crispier, but I am going to turn off the heat so they won't cook any longer. Now, this is the part where the High Evolutionary puts Mantis, Nebula, and Drax into kind of like this episode 6 chamber where the Rancor is. It kind of felt like that, but instead it has the Aboleth, which was from the beginning of Guardians Volume 2. That was the one that they were fighting when Mr. Blue Sky was playing. And they put him in this chamber with 3 of them, and Mantis realized that they don't want to hurt them because they don't eat people. So Mantis calms them down and rides them, and they reunite with everyone on the ship. Now this is when, instead of escaping, they go and they fight the High Evolutionary and try to save everyone there. So there's this great sequence where there's No Sleep Till Brooklyn playing, and you see this amazing one-shot of everyone fighting everybody. It was so cool. I definitely enjoyed it. Probably the best fight sequence of the movie. No, actually, no. Second best. I think my favorite is the Adam Warlock one in the beginning. I think this was the second best action scene. Okay, it's time we add the pork in here. There we go. So yeah, you get this amazing sequence of the action, and then after the action scene, they go over and try to save everyone off the ship, and then Nowhere comes. They bring the entire severed head of Nowhere, and they bring it over to the ship so that they can move everyone on the ship into Nowhere. And Rocket wants to finally face his past. So he goes to the room where he last saw all of his friends. And now this is a very emotional scene because you can see Rocket going up to the cage where all of the other raccoons are, and he opens the cage, and it was probably one of my favorite moments in the entire movie. And he sticks his nose in, and all the raccoons come up to him, and it was so cute. I want that scene, just like a giant picture of just that one shot in my room. It was so, so good. And then the High Evolutionary comes, and he wants to kill Rocket. And you see Rocket and the High Evolutionary go head to head, and then all the other Guardians come back and start fighting the High Evolutionary. And I gotta be honest, they got him down pretty quickly. It didn't even seem like that big of a fight. Everyone got one hit on him, and then he just got knocked down to the ground. They peel off his skin, and you can see what Rocket did to him back in that flashback. After his friends got killed, Rocket scratched his face, and they peel off the thing, and you could see what his face looks like, and it was pretty bad. I was like, Red Skull, is that you? And they don't kill him. I was actually surprised Rocket didn't want like a final punch or a shot. They just left him. So he died in the explosion, and then they save everyone on the ship, and they bring him over to nowhere. And then you see Cosmo using her powers to make an airlock so everyone can get over without going into deep space. Everyone makes it, but then they get all the animals come. You see Star-Lord running, and he drops his Zune. And now you see Cosmo saying like how she can't hold this any longer, it's too much for her. And he goes back and picks up his Zune, and she loses her ability to contain the sealment, and you see him running with a pipe, and he uses the pipe to like jetpack him over, and that was so cool, but it's too far of a distance, and you see Star-Lord, Mr. Peter Quill, his face go blue with ice. Same thing how you saw Yondu in Volume 2, and then it got to the part where I was like, they can still save him, and then his face kind of expanded and got really puffy, and I was like, oh my god, they just killed off Peter, which I was shocked. In that moment, my jaw went to the ground because I was like, this is one character that I was not expecting to die at all. So to see that scene, I was like, I can't believe they did it, but like, they set it up like, it would make sense for him to die, like after all these movies. He was like I know Rocket's like now the protagonist, but to most of us, we thought Star-Lord was the protagonist, so to kill him off was shocking. He dies. So Adam Warlock saves him because Groot helped him out, so now Adam's, I guess, friends with the Guardians, and he saves him and brings him down, and I thought he was dead. When he put him on the ground and everyone surrounded him and hugged him, I thought he was dead. But no, he waked up, he goes, didn't that look cool? And then in the next scene, he looks completely normal. His face wasn't puffy anymore. So to be honest, that was one part of the movie that I did not buy. I did not buy that he survived at all. And then the Guardians all realize that they want to go off in their own ways and split up the Guardians of the Galaxy, and they make the leader Rocket. Which I kind of find really cool that Rocket's the leader, because if you guys remember Infinity War, they were going back and forth over who's the captain between Rocket and Star-Lord. So it's kind of cool that they all said, yes, you're now the captain of the Guardians. And they go off on their separate ways. And now one thing which I did not like was Drax really wanted to go with Mantis. And Mantis just didn't want Drax to go with her. And I hated that because Drax and Mantis had a great chemistry in the holiday special. And to be honest, I think Drax into Mantis. I kind of think that he has a little crush on her. So to see Mantis kind of deny him, I was really, really sad about. So yeah, so Rocket becomes a captain, and they go off in their separate ways. Like I said, I really wanted Mantis and Drax to go together, but Drax and Nebula are going to be looking over nowhere. Peter's going to go back to Earth and, see if his grandfather is still alive. Gamora goes back with the Ravagers. It was kind of a weird thing because it seemed like Gamora was kind of into Star-Lord. Like, she kind of seemed like it, but then she just left him, so I don't know what that was about. But they go off in their separate ways, and we see everyone doing their own little thing. So then you get to the final part of the movie where Peter goes back to Earth, and he knocks on the door, and he opens it up, and he's like, is Jason here? And she's like, yes, and he goes out in the back, and there's his grandfather, probably in his 90s, and he's like, Peter, they give a hug, and it was a great moment because in the beginning of the entire franchise, you see Peter and his grandfather. Then he gets into space, and it's kind of nice that the last movie in the Guardians trilogy is him going back and get reunited. So that was a great, great moment. And the movie ends, and then we get our first mid-credit scene, which I love this mid-credit scene. You see Rocket, Groot, Kraglin, Cosmo, that weird pet creature that Adam had, and then one of the kids on the High Evolutionary ship. And they're now the new Guardians team. And I love this because you didn't see Groot at first until all of the animals are coming towards them and all the people are running away. And you see Groot was that giant thing that they were laying on. And Groot gets up and he is in his form from the comics. Now when I saw this, I kind of freaked out because even though I didn't read the original Guardians comics, I played the Lego Marvel Superhero... Listen, you're going to make fun of me. I played the Lego Marvel Superheroes game, and that was the exact way that Groot looked like in that game. And when I saw his face and his build, I was like, oh my god, they're doing it. They're doing that version of Groot. So I love that. You get them running, the shot, and then you get to the final scene where you see Peter with his grandfather at the table talking, and the first thing I noticed was the newspaper. On the newspaper it said, "Alien abduction, Kevin Bacon shares all." Of course, a reference to my favorite thing Guardians ever did, the holiday special. I love the holiday special so much. It's like one of my favorite things Marvel has ever done. So that was a great nod. I didn't really understand this, so when I went back and watched New Rockstar talk about the post-credit scene, Eric Voss said that Jason could have another child, a son or a daughter, which could be like, I don't know, like Peter could have another relative out there or something like that. In the comics, like he has a sister. I don't really understand that. We'll have to find out later down the line, but it was confirmed that Star-Lord will be returning, which I was so happy to see because when he died, I was so sad because I love this character. Star-Lord is 100% returning. I don't know where we could see him next since now he's Earthbound. I'm going to guess in Avengers Secret Wars or Kang Dynasty would be the next time we see him. Okay, we're going to put this in the barbecue. Put that in with the pork and the onions. Okay, we're gonna let this sit here for a little bit and we'll come back once it's all mixed in together. I would say the beginning started off super strong with Adam Warlock and seeing everyone down and depressed like Rocket and Star-Lord. And then the middle, where most of the stuff happens, was kind of weak. But then after the High Evolutionary was killed, I really thought it got way better, where you kind of see them all go on their separate ways. So it started off strong, it ended really strong, but the middle part just wasn't really for me. I was talking to my dad. I went to go and see the movie with my dad, and my dad also wasn't a huge fan of the movie. He likes Guardians 1 the most, I believe. I like Guardians 2. My ranking goes Guardians 2, 1, and 3. Actually, it goes Holiday Special 2, 1, 3. I love the holiday special so much. But he likes the first one, I think, the most. And he wasn't a fan of this one either. I know a lot of people are loving this movie, so my opinion right now is probably way different from most of you guys watching, as it looks like everyone is loving this movie and they think it's like the best of the trilogy. I think it was the weakest. But my main problem was just the middle part of the movie. Listen, it was still a good movie with good moments, but it felt like a lot of the personality that the movie has had in the past was kind of taken away from this one. I will tell you guys, my favorite part of the entire movie was Groot. Groot was my favorite character by far. Vin Diesel also said his first lines, besides "I am Groot" and "We are Groot," he said "I love you guys," and I was like, whoa. It was kind of weird because Gamora finally understood what he was saying, and then the next time you see him, he just says "I love you guys." So I don't know if that's like a one-time thing and he's going to go back to saying "I am Groot," or if this version of Groot now that we're seeing is, you know, going to be able to talk in real words. I'm not really sure. We'll have to find out next time we see that team of Guardians. I definitely think it's a rewatchable movie, but it's not one that I'm probably going to go back to theaters and rewatch. I'll probably wait till it hits Disney+. Okay, let's finally make Peter's sandwich. So we're going to pour some of the pork on this. Put a little bit more on there. Make it evenly distributed. And then we're going to put some pickles on it too. So we'll put 4 pickles on. Why not? 1 in each corner. We'll put it on top and we'll cut it up and we'll try it. So this is what the picture looked like, and then this is what mine looks like. So it's definitely not as pretty looking, but it's not a bad representation. Compared to other meals that I've made from them, mine looks more like it than it doesn't. Okay, let's try this. So we'll grab one of the potato chips. A little bit soggy. Maybe I should have turned the heat up a little bit more so they can get more crispy. Let's go and do this. Let's get a cross section. Up when the pickles fell out. Okay, let's try. Let me put the pickle back in. That's actually really good. Star-Lord knows how to make a good sandwich. But now I want to know from you guys, did you watch Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3? And if you did, what did you think about it? Let me know if you liked it or not in the comments down below. I cannot wait to hear what you guys have to think. And remember, this is my opinion, so my opinion is my opinion. Yours can be completely different. And if you like the movie, I'm really happy for you because I want everyone to like this movie. You always want to go to a movie and enjoy it. You never want to go into the movie and not want to like it. So that's my thoughts on Guardians Volume 3. Still, James Gunn has did a fantastic job with the Guardians over the last decade. Just thank you, James Gunn. Even though I wasn't a huge fan of this movie, I still think Guardians 1 and 2 and that holiday special were fantastic. And I cannot wait to see what he does over at DC. And I really, really, really do hope that we get to see some of these characters returning in the future. But yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Welcome to the Guardians of freaking Galaxy. My job has a Guardians of the Galaxy pinball machine. We've had it ever since I started working here, so Volume 3 comes out tonight. I'm not going to play this because I'm not good at pinball. I'm so bad. I only did it once and I failed miserably.